Well, 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 there it is. I was a little nervous. I really was. I just got new coffee grounds and they smell a little bit suspect, but they taste pretty good. And I'm having an early coffee because I'm actually trying to slow down, and sometimes the coffee helps me slow down. Hello, everybody. I'm Rob Appell, the carefree caffeinated quilter from Stitchin Heaven out in Quitman, Texas. Welcome to Friday Fun Day Live. I am your host, and I want you to notice I'm appropriately dressed to match the set today. Isn't that fun? We're going to talk a lot about the quilt behind me. We've actually been talking a lot about the quilt behind me in the past. So I'm coming on. I'm making sure everybody can hear me okay. I see folks are coming in from New Zealand and California and Vermont and Texas. That's awesome. Looks like the audio's doing well here. And I've got all my cameras up. And so we'll just go ahead and start the show, everybody. I've got a big project I'm excited to start this afternoon. And so at the end of today's show, I'm going to go ahead and sign off and put on my grubbies and get back to it. But we'll talk about that as part of the grateful list actually today. We've got a great show for you. I've got a fun show and tell. I want to start doing some more question and answer, some more Q&A from some of the things we're seeing on YouTube throughout the week as bringing our community closer together. Speaking of community, we do have 58,000 subscribers right here on YouTube. Make sure you are one of those subscribers. If you haven't done so, hit subscribe today, smash the like button, and most importantly, please help share by letting everybody know across social media, your quilt guilds, your friends, all of those different things, that Rob Appell is here. I'm on YouTube at Stitchin Heaven. A lot of folks I know have been looking for me, since the man sewing days ended several years ago. And it's really fun to be back on YouTube and entertaining all of you out there. We have a YouTube private group as well, and we're constantly getting new members. I guess I need to update this screenshot. We've picked up another 300 or so since then. But yeah, it's on Facebook. I think I said YouTube private group. I'm sorry. Facebook private group, so well, Rob Appell, and just look for that there. And it's a great place again where you can post your photos. And I often, when doing what little social media I do, I know I often do more there. So it's just kind of a fun way to be part of the community. And as we get going on through the announcements today, I've been trying to mention this, but I'm putting links in the description because I've got a lot of things I like to share, and sometimes I get a little confused and bounce around and go too fast because I'm doing all of this production myself. So always feel free to check the description for links to some of the things we're going to talk about as we go through the announcements today. So coming up right around the corner, June 11th through 13th, that was this weekend. That's an old slide. I thought that seemed kind of interesting. Oh boy, am I prepared. All right, folks, coming up right around the corner, long arm training event, October 16th through 18, 2024. That's going to be an awesome handy quilter training event, and we're going to have 3 full days of information focused around a lot of different stuff. So the website's got information up. We've got 2 great teachers coming out. We have Karen King, and we also have Janelle Mesquite. Oh, I'm probably just going to ruin your name, Janelle. I'm sorry. Mesquiter. And part of this is I have all of these notes so small that I need my glasses on. So Janelle, I know I ruined your last name. I'm sorry. I have not met you in person, but I'm hoping to get to be there in Texas when the Handy Quilter event is going on. This is a great way for training. This is also a great way for those of you who are considering purchasing a long arm or a mid arm in the future to get out there, put your hands on and try it. If you've already purchased one or are considering purchasing one, I believe we have a coupon where if you purchase in the near future, you get the event for free. So check out our website. That's stitchinheaven.com. Read all about it there and make sure you get ready to participate. Kind of fun. We were talking about long arming, although this was done on the domestic. The last few weeks, we've been putting up a few of the skill builders. This is the real easy project I did. This was the easiest log cabin ever, and just doing some basic free motion machine quilting all over the place with it and having a good old time. And so that was last week's video that I posted, and I got a couple of great comments that are going to lead to the Q&A towards the end of today's video as we bounce through. Now, coming up next week, so on next Wednesday, and again, if you're new here to the channel, again, please subscribe. But also, Wednesday's the recorded content that I'm doing here at YouTube, and then Fridays are these fun lives, and we sneak something in every now and again when we can. So coming up next Wednesday, we're back into the Block of the Month series. It's Arabella 5. And you can see those here on the side wall. I've got these wonderful, these are the 4 different blocks that we made for the Arabella block month number 5. Now in month number 4 was really cool. We assembled the blocks and then the jewel blocks, but then we also put together the center from Arabella. So most of us are at about this point right now, or getting to this point over the next couple of weeks, and starting to put together, and we're gonna now work around the outsides, and I'm really excited about the way this is coming together. It's a beautiful project from Wing and a Prayer Design. It features the Arabella batiks that are from Timeless Treasures, and really cool instructions. If you've been following the series, I'm learning a lot about patchwork and some of the ways that we can press or cut in advance. It's like being a really good billiards player at quilting and thinking about a few steps down the road and how just some of these little changes in the way we press or trim can actually help for bulk and seam management and accuracy if that kind of stuff's important to you. So that's pretty cool. Been having a lot of fun with that out there. And so at any rate, I did get, okay, so here's the wonderful quilt we're building at Arabella. And then I got this comment, so I'm going to jump a little bit into the Q&A. We're going to do a pre-Q&A here. So at any rate, do you have tutorials available for each month? I'm starting off, this is my first project, and would love monthly tutorials. So right now at Stitchin Heaven, we are considered the Block of the Month headquarters. We are the experts in Block of the Month and Block of the Month kits. However, we do not have a tutorial for every project every month, because we'll do 6 to 8 different Block of the Months starting each and every month. Sometimes those will run 8 to 10 months. Sometimes those will go 12, 13 months. So at any rate, it's something that I would like to do. I'm trying to pick different Block of the Months that are coming down the pipeline that I think will either be great information, or like the next one I've chosen already is one that Charisma Horton and I have planned for. It's her design with my fabric, so of course that'll be a lot of fun. I wouldn't mind getting my hands on a shorter version of a Block of the Month as well, or something that was very, very focused on skill building after skill building after skill building, because I think the Block of the Months could be great for that as well. So currently, no, we do not offer a full tutorial each and every month for every Block of the Month we do, but it is on our wish list for ourselves, and I would really appreciate it if you sent me some emails directly, or in either rob@stitchinheaven.com or info@stitchinheaven.com, and let us know what tutorials for what Block of the Months you would consider important. It will help us narrow down, and we really do read those emails and comments. It really does help us as we go through. So I thought that was a great comment, and I wanted to say thank you very much for sending that out. So we'll have a few more of those at the end of the video, but first it is show and tell time. That's right. So thank you, Michelle. Michelle is a constant viewer and or emailer, and she has sent in a couple of her quilts this week. Most of them, or excuse me, 2 of them are going to feature panels. I really like this one, of course, because we were in the patriotic theme last week. And here is another one of Michelle's projects. Thanks, Michelle. And just another real nice fun one. And then of course this one here, I did crop the photo a little bit because it's on a 2nd story railing to show how ginormous the quilt is. But I did not I did not crop out the gentleman in the corner. He looks like one of those wonderful old timers. He's got a little bit of something to say about everything to me. And I mean that in a loving way there, Michelle. I hope he's a family member. He reminds me of one of the gentlemen from up in the loft of the Muppet Show. And I have a feeling that's his quilt because he has dressed to match. So at any rate, wonderful quilts, Michelle. I love them. Ginormous this one is as well. So pretty cool. Thanks for sending those in. If you'd like to see your quilts on my show, send them in. Show and tell is what we're all about. You can send them over to rob@stitchinheaven.com, and often I'll crop the photos just to make them fit the screen a little bit, like I said there. But you never know. If you send me the photo, you never know what I may do with it. So feel warned and encouraged all at the same time, of course. At any rate, let's go ahead and do a couple things. I want to talk about this quilt. Now, you noticed last week I was talking about the patchwork. I think some of it was up on the wall. It is now officially quilted and bound in black, which you can't see up here. This is the glowing checkered star. So there's kind of a dark green star in kind of hidden. I like quilts that have hidden stuff in there. Of course, a couple different checkerboards. The checkerboard on point, which was originally a question I was asked. How do you do something like that, Rob? And so this is going to be our virtual sew along. And here's our save the date. Let me just step out of the way and drink some coffee. There you go. September 14th, 2024. Our goal is, and right now it's a goal because we're writing up all the information, is to put together this wonderful, where's my button? There it is. Put together this wonderful virtual sew along. So I'll come on live with multiple cameras, multiple angles going so you can see everything and teach you all how to make this step by step, 9 a.m. Central Time on that September 14th. We will have pre-cut kits available for you all. And at the moment, this is one of the questions I'd like to know. Obviously, oh, and it's not a mystery, obviously. My goal is to sew all day, and I think I can get it all done for you. Now, I spent a couple of days working on this in a few hours a day because I was distracted with other things. Me, distracted of all things, right? But I'm pretty sure it can all be done in roughly 8 hours. However, you'll notice these are half square triangles here, right? And there's lots of them, and they're all the same. I made them by doing 2 squares, cutting them and trimming them down to accurate size. Hey, notice how nice the points are, right, folks? So here's my question to you. With this, let me just show you a fun other view of the quilt here while I'm drinking some more coffee. Would you like in your pre-cut quilt kit those half square triangles to be cut the exact size so you have to be decently accurate with your 1/4 inch seam allowance? Or would you rather do it like me and have the squares? Now with all of those squares, I can tell you it will take roughly an hour to trim them down, but sometimes taking a break from the machine is good. We could be snacking during that periods. So at any rate, that's where I'm at right now. I'm trying to figure out the best way to offer. These are done as strip pieces. This is a solid square, but these half square triangles, we can serve you in a multiple different ways, but I hear feedback, and so I'm asking the feedback from you all. When it comes to a half square triangle in a kit, do you want it exact with the engineered corners and everything, but then you've got to sew it perfect? Or do you want it a little large and then trimming it down a few more steps, but you're responsible for the accuracy there at the end? I'd like to know. At any rate, so this is coming up. This is going to be really fun. Signups are not yet quite available because I just got the binding on yesterday, but we're getting close, folks. And like I said, I was emailing right before I jumped on camera today, and we are getting everything dialed in to make sure. Oh, and it's fun. It uses my new fabrics as well. So I'm having a lot of fun with that as well as we bounce through. And I guess it is time for me to take a sip of this coffee real quick. And, oh, thank you, everybody. Stephanie, I appreciate that. And looking at the comments going through. I see a lot of my fun new friends from the quilting cruise that I met a couple of weeks ago. So blessings to all of you. Thank you very much for joining me here. Again, we talk about this as a quilting community, and we use that word intentionally because we support each other all of the time. And I'll actually mention that I was talking to my support group. Well, I'm surprised we call each other that, a support group, but yeah, the Quilting Marine and the Combat Quilter and myself are definitely a support group. And I was getting their support a couple days ago as we dive into the grateful list. Now with the grateful list, this is something I encourage us all to do. Just remind ourselves daily what we're grateful for. It makes some of those aches and pains go away. And so for me, as we dive in today, I'm going to encourage you to write down some of those things. You feel free to put them in the comments below if you'd like. It's always fun for us all to see what we're all grateful for. And you can see right here, again, I'm kind of doubling it up, but cruising, but with a fun new reason why cruising is my number one thing on the grateful list. So this video right here, let me tell a quick little story before I play this video. Many of you have mentioned we have brought on board a new cameraman and editor named Elijah. He's a young gentleman who doesn't have any quilting experience or didn't have any quilting experience, but he's super eager to learn. He's very artistic, and one of the things we've been dying to do for all of you is show you what it's really like on a quilting cruise. And so the fun for me in this video I'm about to share with you all is Elijah went on the cruise the week before I went. Neither of us had ever been on a quilting cruise with Stitchin Heaven before, so I couldn't give him much advice or direction other than I said, just have fun with the folks and make sure you get as much captured as possible. So I've watched the video, and some of you maybe have seen the video as well, and I feel like, Elijah, you've done an amazing job of capturing every moment of the fun, the excitement. He even got the gentleman, and it's a different guy, but the guy playing the piano in the elevator as well. So the moments that were captured, he put it together in a beautiful video. So my cruising, thankful, grateful list is actually for Elijah in this beautiful video. Enjoy, folks. Wasn't that great? Didn't he do an awesome job? And I think I can see, at least I saw Stephanie's out there, and Ingrid, I believe, is out there as well. Wouldn't you gals agree that he really captured what we all just experienced? I mean, even with the group t-shirts and the time we could kind of spend out enjoying the sunsets and all of the zip lining and the mini golf and the water parks. And oh man, great. So anyway, super fun. And I just really appreciative that our team is growing. We're blessed at Stitchin Heaven, mostly because of all of you and all of the support. So it's just fun to see this all coming together. Now, it's funny. You probably noticed because I can't make the grateful list come in one at a time. I'm working on that tech. But anyway, so number 2 is my wife. And this is funny because while I was putting together today's show, this popped into my email, and it was from Shutterfly. And 11 years ago today, apparently, I was on a cruise, and now this was another quilting cruise up in Alaska with my lovely wife there. That's Jenny, my wife. And so funny enough, I was telling my support group before we left for the cruise, guys, we really should, consider dressing nicely on the cruise. And they were thinking I was kidding. But see, every now and again, it's fun to get dressed up and go out and have a good time like that. And so at any rate, that was formal night 11 years ago. Oh my golly. Now, number 3 on the grateful list, and this is also for my wife because I'm so grateful for my wife, is remodeling. So yes, a couple of days ago, I was able to send my friends a photograph that said, nothing is better than starting your day with a shovel indoors. And yeah, we had this old vinyl floor I put down, the peel and stick, like a dozen years ago. And I thought box tape was an appropriate solution for the corners that were breaking and chipping. But instead, I got out there with the shovel and started going away. And so just a few short hours later, we've got some new floor that's going to look like that going in. And you'll notice here on the grateful list that the last thing on my grateful list is that pro quilter status. Now, pro quilter status may be self-assigned, but after a couple of short hours of physical labor like that on my hands and knees, carrying all that material around, doing the thing, I'm telling you folks, I'm pretty glad that I consider myself a pro quilter and not a pro remodeler because my goodness, it can get a little bit tough on the back and the knees and all that. I'm actually feeling pretty great, having a good time with it, and really excited. I have one challenge today that I'm up against. And so that's what I'm going to do. After I sign off on today's video, I've been thinking about it for several weeks. I think I have the design in mind, but we have an old kind of built-in cabinet bar system, and I'm going to try to remove part of it. And so just wish me luck. I know I've got a lot of praying types out there. You can say a prayer for me if you'd like as well. I'm probably going to need it, of course, but that's pretty fun. So at any rate, oh, now about the quilting cruise, I'm sorry I forgot to mention. A lot of times when we talk about our quilting cruises and you go to the quilting cruises page, you might see this sold out. Please just keep scrolling. They're just in numerical order on the calendar, but you'll notice that as soon as we get into 2025, we have openings for sailing with us in 2025. I just believe we only have one left in 2024 coming up here in August. That's the Legacy Quilt Cruise, August 9, my wedding anniversary, through the 16th. So at any rate, don't be discouraged. If you ever click on our travel page for the cruises and you see sold out, just keep scrolling down. Same with our retreats a lot of times. Scrolling down because they're often in sequential order based on the calendar, and even though they're sold out, they're still in a space holder on the internet as we go. So let's dive into some of these questions and answers. I realized I was starting to wrap it up a little bit, and when I said pro quilter status, the other thing I wanted to play a little bit was kind of this fun video. And being a pro quilter status is also being part of a company like Stitchin Heaven that allows me to do great videos like this. They help fund a lot of these great projects and encourage all that we're doing to build that community. So this happened, I believe, on Tuesday. Yes, so Tuesday was official employee goof off day, and all of the better. We certainly enjoy having fun and playing together, making each other smile and wowing people. That's our mission statement. And we do it, we train together constantly in our work environment and our play environment, the way we communicate together. It's really great, a great blessing. So Deb, thank you for creating that culture in our workplace. It's great being a professional quilt maker at Stitchin Heaven. So I want to dive into a couple of these questions and answers. I think they're going to actually cover the screen, so I'm just going to push them up real quick as I start going through, and we'll get them answered. So this one right here, Rob, can we get a pre-cut quilt kit with your fabrics? Patty, absolutely. As a matter of fact, I have links in the description. There is the Bird of Paradise. There is the Dazzling Dots. There's a double tumbler. And then the one on the table right here, this is called the Synergy Remix Quilt Kit. And I started talking about this maybe a couple, 3 weeks ago. But this is the normal backdrop quilt kit, but it's the new one. And this actually is, so if you're purchasing now, you get it, and it has the Benertex Shadow Blush and the Rob Appell New World by Benertex. So the whole quilt is made, and it, I believe, is considered a pre-cut quilt kit there. And That is available even with the binding and everything. So that is the answer to one of those questions. The other quilts I actually had on the cruise with me, and I shipped them in the box from Galveston back to Stitchin Heaven instead of here. So I had to show you the photos today. Those are all photos from the website. So of course you can go to stitchinheaven.com. You can find the photos. Like I said, the links are down there. There are also just patterns available, and there are some that are not considered pre-cut quilt kits. And I just want to talk about that real quick when we say pre-cut, and sometimes you'll see this symbol here. So like on this one, this is made using like 3.5 inch and 1.5 inch strips. So those strips have been pre-cut down for you. On this one here, when it says pre-cut, the background squares and rectangles have been pre-cut, and then also the applique itself has been pre-fused and cut down for you also. So the shapes are pre-cut. So a couple of different things when it comes to pre-cut. It does not mean it's going to be a 5x5 or a 10 inch by 10 inch or a 2.5 inch strip based quilt. That's pre-cuts that's old school pre-cuts. These are new pre-cuts. These are ready to sew for you cuts. All right, let's see. I've got a couple more of these questions to answer. Now, okay, this is great. Hi, I'm new to quilting my own quilts. I finished a quilt top with a Christmas motif. It's embroidered on some squares and blank on others. How do I quilt on the embroidered squares and not hide the embroidered designs? This is a really important question, folks, and I actually want to take the time to answer it, and we're going to use a couple of examples to get our minds ready. Let's use this quilt actually as the example to begin with. In this particular quilt, I first started by not quilting any of the black and white. And after I got a couple of rows into it, I thought, no, it's going to need more. So in these whites here, I did a real easy arc from corner to corner, filling it in. And I was actually on the long arm. So as I kept going, I actually went back and did the last row at the beginning. I also determined I could do the same stitch a little bit larger inside of this unit. So now, that being said, I want you to hear this. You can quilt different squares in the same quilt with different designs. If this square here was your embroidered Christmas square, well, maybe you could do holly or Christmas balls or something like that in the area that is not the embroidered square. And then when you get into your embroidered square, let's go to example diagram number 2 here. And we're going to go to our overhead, and let me get myself squared out, and then it'll hold still a little bit. I'm going to try to lock my focus in. There. Perfect. Okay. So here is what I thought maybe you were referring to as your embroidered square. That's a Christmas tree, by the way, with 2 presents and a Christmas tree skirt in the middle of a square. And then I was practicing to see if the blue and the black would show up on camera today. So again, I was just showing here, and this is a great way to practice, folks. I was practicing doing an arc and an arc and an arc and an arc without lifting my pen. Okay, so in these squares, maybe in the sashing or whatever, you could do whatever else. But when it comes into something like this, the embroidered design, what I personally recommend that you do is you go ahead and you do some machine quilting that is considered what's called echo quilting. So you're going to go around your embroidered design one time, because this is going to help that embroidered design lift up a little bit when sometimes the embroidered designs might be crushed. I know I lift my pen. All of you judges out there, I know I lift my pen. It's okay, I'm drawing right now. And I did it so I could move my hand to the other side of the page. Okay, there's my beautiful outline stitching. And then I don't want to do any distraction from the beautiful Christmas embroidery motif. So now I'm going to start up in a corner, maybe after I came off of that sashing, and I'm just going to start to stipple. I'm just going to do basic stippling in the background because I want to crush down this background, but I don't want to make notice of it. I just want to stipple my background so that it holds it down and allows that embroidery to pop out. Does that make sense? So I'm just going to stipple in that area as I go around like that. Now, let's talk about order of operations. We still want to deal with each square as it's a square. So starting at the middle of the square, in the middle of the quilt, if it's an embroidered square, I'm going to outline first, then stipple, Then I'm going to address my corners and my sashing. And I'm going to go like that, square by square. So let's assume right now this is my middle square in my quilt. I'm going to go from here and I'm going to go embroidered design, standard quilting, embroidered design, standard quilting. And I could also be radiating out, but anytime I hit a block, I'm going to go to the center of the block with the embroidery first and stitch around it. So once I get to that block, I'm going to move from the center out to capture it. I don't want you to push quilting into that embroidered design because it could really cause some puckering at the embroidery. Okay, I've got one more question to cover, folks. See, I'm hoping you're liking this. I'm having fun, and I thought these were some wonderful questions, and I really appreciate all of you taking the time to be out there watching the videos, sharing the videos, and writing in. So I wanted to take the time to answer a couple of these. Got one more for us today. And this is a question. So my history degree 2013 had actually asked me the same style of question twice over the last couple of weeks. And what I realized was there was another question that had a bit of a typo. Let's slow down here a little bit. It was a funny typo, actually, in my opinion, because the word sower had been swapped for sober. And being that I am both, I thought that was pretty funny. But one of the reasons I get afraid to do my live videos, and one of the reasons I don't like doing this comment thing like this, is I don't read really well. And when I start to read when I'm nervous and embarrassed, it's one of the reasons I don't always call you out by name, folks, while you're watching. It's one of the reasons I don't read all the comments. It's a challenge for me, and I'm afraid I'm going to embarrass myself. Many of times I've been called out for misspellings, typos, and misspeakings when I'm doing those things. And so I've often avoided them in live videos. So I almost went ahead and started making jest of the typo, and I realized, no, let's talk about some of these things, and I'll just let you all know why I don't do this very often. And as I scrolled through more of the comments, I realized that my friend out there had the same question again, and she'd been asking it for a while, or they had been asking it for a while. And so I wanted to make sure I tried to answer it. So here's the question from a history degree out there. Is there something you can do by hand? Sorry. See, I already did it. Is this something you can do by hand? This was in reference to my straight stitch quilting video. I have a weak little machine that's the most basic thing out there, and they still really enjoy doing stuff by hand. Okay, so the other comment was in regards to another free motion quilting video, and it was also asking about hand. So I've often made the joke that I consider hand a 4-letter word. But there's a lot of benefit to working with our hands. We have to consider the projects though. We don't want to do a giant project and quilt it by hand if we've never done something like that before. So if you're interested in doing hand work, I strongly recommend things like the English paper piecing. They're really nice. They're small. You work in small quantities. You can often work on your lap, putting them together. And then a lot of times the hand stitching is going to be echo quilting those designs, and they're done in a hoop. And again, very simple, and it's very therapeutic. And it's done in more of the traditional quilting method. What I was doing by free motion, whipping around on the machine and things, probably not so easily done by hand, or maybe if easily done by hand, not so easily done on the size of a quilt, but like we were talking about a moment ago, as an embroidery. Really, folks, if you think about it, machine quilting and a machine embroidery, or quilting and embroidery, are very similar, right? It's just embroidery's kind of filling in. Think of it this way. Quilting is the outline, and embroidery is filling it in. However, we're going to do that. And so we can do it all by hand, and we can do it all by machine. It's what we're interested in doing and what brings us the pleasure. So the original question came on a very basic quilt. Oh, that one I do have handy. Let me just grab it real quick. We still have a few moments left in today's video. It was this quilt, folks. The basic straight line. So that person was then asking, could this style quilting be done by hand? And absolutely it could. It would just be some very tedious running stitches, maybe not so close together. You could put it in a hoop and just, rock your frame back and forth, and that certainly could be done. Now, if I zoom in a little bit more, maybe you can see the purple fabric has not been stitched through, only the colored fabric. So on a quilt like this, it's not all quilted. And a lot of times when you get into quilting, density matters. So even the quilt behind me isn't as densely quilted as the quilt I was showing in my free motion videos, because I just wanted to get it done and hold the layers together. I didn't need to show a bunch of different quilting because the goal for this was to be a single day project, not a year-long project. So again, like so many things in quilting, there's something for everybody out there. And if you're interested in doing hand work because it's what you have or it's what you enjoy, then scale your projects accordingly. Also, if you're interested in doing more free motion machine work, please folks, don't frustrate yourselves by trying to do it on a very small machine or a machine that is out of time, breaking needles, having problems with bobbin threads. It's going to be so challenging that you're going to be climbing an uphill battle both directions, and I would strongly suggest either borrowing a machine, taking a couple of workshops, maybe consider investing in a machine. I do talk about this a lot, this handy quilt, my handy quilter Stitch 510. It is not an expensive machine in the world of sewing machines. You can get this thing at full price for $1,500. Straight stitch only, it quilts like a champ. I could run this machine every day for 10 years without thinking about it twice. So if you think about some of the things we're doing out there, sometimes having a workhorse is more important than having a multi-purpose machine or a multi-stitch machine as you're going to grow. Anyways, that's my soapbox for the day at any rate. Let me go ahead and take a few moments and look through your comments here. And let me see if I've got any questions I should be answering. Folks, if you have questions, please put them in right now. I see real quick some good feedback on the half square triangle questions. Thank you for that. And if anyone's got a question you're afraid I'm going to miss, please type it again at the bottom because that's where I'm heading. Did we find ACJ? Is Jenny out there? Ah, thank you. I saw somebody else mention the skill builder drill. I loved it. It was almost the nicest backhanded compliment, I think that's what you call them, you could ever get. It said, Angela Walters makes it look easy. Rob, you make it look doable, which I think that was a code for Rob, you're a slob and we love you for it. And that's okay. I'm glad to see everyone likes Ingrid being involved. Ingrid, hello. Everyone's happy to see you out there. All right. Okay, unfortunately right now, if I had to do a quick vote, it's 50-50 on the half square trimming or the triangle methods in pre-cut. So folks, do take another moment. If you watch this video recorded, please put in the comments below if you prefer your pre-cut quilt kits to have half square triangles that are engineered perfect, ready to just sew, or if you like them a little big so that you sew them and trim them down according to the pattern as it calls for. Folks, thank you so much for being here with us. Like I said before, if you have not joined our community by subscribing here on YouTube, make sure you do so. Please make sure you are signed up for the email newsletters at stitchinheaven.com and following along with everything we do on our other social media such as Facebook and Instagram. Make sure you're checking out Chat with Pat. We are just having a great time providing all of this awesome content for all of you out there. And until I see everybody again with a cool recorded tutorial on Wednesday with that Arabella video,